Nigel, final game of the season approaches, QPR away. Looking back on this season, how do you reflect on it?
Bit of a mixture with quite a bit of progression as well in areas that we are very pleased with in terms of how the team plays. Number of our younger players have had and the senior players too have had positive seasons. So it's, but we'll need to make sure that going into next season, that we strengthen the squad and make sure that we are a lot more competitive next year. So I think we've proved that we can match almost all the teams on our day. We've got to have more of our day. We've got to be able to continue with progressing with our striving to get more consistent and winning more games. That's what it's about.
From a performance perspective, going into next year, is it, like you say, about finding those ways to win and also winning consistently? That's the main kind of aim moving forward.
Yeah, and we know how we want to strengthen. So I just think now, for this last game against QPR, it's important we get our performance absolutely right and that we do everything we can to win the game, because it's, in any given season, you've got to make sure that whoever you play against and whatever stage of the season, that you have a positive approach and that we always strive to be at our best, and that's what we aim to do. So how we finish the season is very important for us.
And from a supporter's perspective, going into next season, we've already sold 13,000 season tickets, approaching 14. It's really good to see that appetite for football, obviously, and belief in the project.
Yeah, not a word I use a lot, project, but we are hopefully delivering a brand of football that the supporters enjoy watching. But of course, they'll enjoy it a lot more with more positive results. So, things to improve as always, but we are moving very nicely forward.
Queen's Park Rangers on Monday. It's a sold-out away end, 1,700 supporters. I think the tickets were snapped up very, very quickly. I can imagine you'll want to put on a good performance to end that season. Yeah,
we've been really well supported all season, and home and away. We continue to be followed with a lot of enthusiasm, and as always, it's important that we endeavour to deliver a positive performance.
And from a squad perspective, are there any doubts? Anybody that might miss out at all, or are we all up?
No, not really. We come into the final game with a pretty fit squad, in all honesty. So that's something that's quite pleasing too. It does mean you'll have disappointed players on the last day, but competition's good, and hopefully we can, as I've said, play well, try and win the game.
Alex Scott last night at the awards dinner was named Young Player of the Year and Player of the Year. How do you reflect on his season?
Well, I mean, I think that speaks volumes. He will have come up against, or rather, in his teammates, giving him a really good run for his money. We've got some players this year who I think have had outstanding seasons, and so for Alex to pick both awards up is, it's quite an outstanding achievement. But he's had another positive season, and his game continues to become more complete. Still needs a few more goals in there, but no, he's had his form this season again has been very consistent. Delighted for him.
The race for the Golden Boot is still open. Tommy on 12, Naki on 11, going into the last day. How pleasing is it for you to have that Golden Boot race wide open with your two forwards in double figures going into the last game?
Well, it is very exciting. I think the two of them have been very competitive with each other, but also supportive of each other too. So, it's going into the last game of the season. It's something that they'll both want to finish the season ahead of each other. So, they they don't need any more motivation than that. So I've said before, we need to spread the goals amongst the squad, but I think our forwards have delivered decent numbers this year. We've got good competition, and hopefully next year again we'll be even better placed to score even more goals.
And a man you've spoken very highly of, Zach Viner, was voted by his peers as player of the year. What does that say about Zach's year?
Well, it is in many ways the most important award. When players vote for their teammate, and Zach is recognised amongst the squad as not just his form this season, but the circumstances of how his future looked very uncertain last pre-season. But he's played all but one game, and he only missed that game because he was ill. So he's had a very competent season where he's been not only consistent, but his game's really improved too. And he takes an awful lot of credit for that himself. It's as I say, for your peers to vote for you, I think is something that for the players means a lot.